people. Welcome to Melanated Vibrations, a new show that celebrates the diversity and richness of Black culture. Join us as we delve into our individual mental health and overall mental health of our community. From the latest trends to the timeless coping mechanisms, we'll showcase the best of what it means to be mentally healthy. So sit back, relax, and get ready to feel the vibrations of Black excellence. Let's get started.
Hey y'all, happy Monday. Yes. Crickets. I don't know. How are you?
Tired. How are you?
Why is that your name today? Hey, bro. Why is that your name? Why is that your name?
Just leave with the dust. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Reek. Shout out to Reek, who is the host of Women's Wellness Wednesdays. It comes on every Wednesdays at 6 p.m. only on the Big Exclusive Network. So make sure y'all check that show out this week. Hey, Sonia. It's just dust. Okay. Well, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Welcome to Melanated Vibrations. Thank you guys so much for joining me and joining my sister. We got the depression. I don't know about the dust part. Like that's why I'm a little confused. I don't know where the dust part came from, but here we are. So I hope everyone had a great weekend. I hope you guys were able to get out, hey, Bo, and get some sunlight, to get some fresh air. I know this weather was a little tricky this weekend, but kind of what we're going to talk about today is depression, seasonal affective disorder, or seasonal depression, as some people call it, winter blues. And so while we still have sunlight on our side and before it gets way too cold, I hope you guys are out enjoying yourselves, getting some fresh air, because we all about to be locked back down anyway, the way these COVID numbers are spiking, as they say. So, how was your weekend?
It was fun.
What'd you do?
I went to the Bates Motel with Sophie and her little dusty school.
How was that? Was it scary?
I had to partially cuss the kids out on the bus. I told them they could tell their mom, I don't give a shit. Sit your asses down. We on the bus. Sit your ass down. But anyway,
kids out?
I feel like, I don't know, clear kids sometimes, they be on some bullshit. But I know it comes to the kids. One of her friends' mom, she was like, oh, let's go, let's have fun. Yo, she's like the coolest white lady ever. So she was like, yeah, let's go, let's go. The kids stressed us out so bad. We both went home and had wine. I think she had brown liquor, white people.
I hope she had some tequila.
No, she had brown liquor. Straight.
Tequila come brown too, but just saying.
Nah, she was drinking brandy, I think. Some shit she said she was drinking. Yeah, them
clear kids. Yeah, she's wild. She's wild. Yeah. Wow. Clear kids.
It wasn't scary. It was more like fun, but the effects, like if you're a horror fan, the only thing I didn't like was that hayride, because it's dark. Black people in the woods, we don't like the melanated ones that was there, minus the one that is like an honorary melanated person. That is the other kid that was with us. Yeah,
What's an honorary melanated person?
I call her honorary melanated because she looks like this, but she really not. She's like this.
You invite her to the cookout?
Hell yeah, she be trying to come over my house all the time. She be trying to come to my house all the time. She'd be like, can I come over your house? I'm coming over. She'd be like, don't worry about it. She'd be like, Sophie, girl, I'm coming over. Just tell your mom I'm coming over. I'll be there. My dad just gonna tell her, but I'll be there. I'm like, okay. It was fun though. You get to go on the Bates Motel thing. You get to do the hayride. And what else is it? The little horror house thing. The kids was scared. It was hilarious. One of them almost fell trying to run. I thought it was it's fucking hilarious. I loved it. I laughed the whole time.
Okay. Did you do anything else fun this weekend? Besides steer clear people's kids?
No.
That was the highlight of your weekend?
That was just it. That's all I needed. That was fun.
I don't know whose sister she is. Probably mine. Okay. Well, so your nephew.
Kind of like you don't want to be related to me anymore. It's fun here.
Not when you include the white folks and saying they honorary members of the melanated community. No, I do not. None of them are honorary.
She's an honorary.
None of them have earned membership.
She's honorary.
None of them. Not near one of them has earned membership on my side.
You got to meet her.
No, thank you. So
that's detail. Okay.
Let's keep her over there with you. Just, respectfully. So I got a question that just came through. I don't know why in the middle of the podcast, but you know how things go. All right. So what did I do this weekend? So your nephew had a football game and they won 35-8. It was a really good game. What did I do? What did I do this weekend? It wasn't much. I think that's why I kind of
skip over.
Like I can't read it right now, big exclusive, because then I had to come off screen to read it. It came to this phone and not my other phone. And listen, Tiff is in the comments. Tiff can read the damn question. She got the same text message I got. Okay, let Tiff read it, or copy and paste it and put it in the comments. If you're on the stream or if you've just joined the stream, make sure that you share, tag your folks in the comments, make sure you are sharing, make sure you're subscribing to the Big Exclusive Network on YouTube and on Facebook. I only saw part of the question, couldn't see all of it. Something about a man, something, I don't know, a man and a dog, I don't know. But yes, that was my weekend. So the reason why I decided to do depression today is because transparent moment. So when we say set our intentions of what are we bringing into this space, I'm bringing transparency. So yesterday I had a very emotional day. Yesterday was very emotional. It was very overwhelming. I didn't really want to be bothered or to talk to anybody. So I didn't really talk to anybody. I put my music on, I cleaned my house, I washed clothes. So it was just and I woke up feeling, very emotional yesterday. I even cried. I'm not a crier. That's not really what I get into. Nothing wrong. Shout out to the people that cry. That's your first line of defense. It's not mine. It's take a lot for me to cry. And yesterday was just a big ball of emotions, just very overwhelmed. And so I felt it, appropriate to talk about depression. Who the hell is this? Okay, because it keep popping up on my phone. So, yes, that's what I'm bringing into this space is transparency. What are you bringing into this space? Not COVID. Okay.
Excuse me. Shit, I think I'm getting hay fever or something. I keep getting sick.
Thank you, Tiff. I appreciate that. Yes, yesterday was very emotional. October is such a sucky month for me. So, but there's that. So, what are you bringing?
I don't even know. Shit.
Besides dust, what do you bring? Okay. Well, Tiff has been given permission to put the question in the comments. I don't know if that has anything to do with what we're talking about tonight. But she has been given permission to put. Let's not wait. Okay. So you got to bring something into the space. What are you bringing? Honesty. Okay. Honesty is good. All right. So you're bringing honesty. I'm bringing transparency. So a lot happening right now. Jesus. Okay. So we are going to talk about depression. What depression is, the myths of depression, the actual facts about depression, the difference between sadness and grief and depression, because it can kind of all look the same. When you're going through something, grief and sadness can look like depression, but they are two totally different things. And we're going to talk about seasonal affective disorder. So I kind of want to wait for Tiff to put the question in there that was asked of us in this group chat, but guess we'll wait. So depression, also known as major depressive disorder, is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how you feel, the way that you think, and how you act. Fortunately, it is also treatable. So for people that don't think that depression is treatable, it is treatable. Depression causes feelings of sadness and or loss of interest in activities you once enjoyed, as they say, pleasurable activities. It can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems and can decrease your ability to function at work and at home. So if you've ever, yes, Tiff, I love that. So the question was, would your interaction with or your man be different if he had a job that was high risk? Would you consciously try to argue less knowing he may not come home from work?
Yay.
Hey, Jay Boogie. That came from Phoenix, if anybody is wondering. Okay, tranquil energy. Would I argue less knowing he may not come home? So this is the thing.
Fuck are they
I don't feel like, I feel like you have to look at that perspective. It's a chance that none of us are coming home when we walk out the door. It don't matter what job he has. He could be a firefighter, a police officer. He could be a teacher, a construction worker. He could work in a gold mine. Like, it doesn't really matter what the job is. And nigga could be a janitor. Okay, like he could work at a hospital. They shooting them up too, apparently. So I don't really feel like it would be a matter of arguing less, because none of us are promised to come back through those doors when we leave out anyway. I think that when you are in a relationship, that you should try your hardest to, and this is what I'm saying, like, if you're gonna catch hell, you're gonna catch hell. But I think that it would be wise that as a person in a relationship that you try to smooth over whatever it is before that person walks out the door, or even before you go to bed. Like they say that you're not supposed to go to bed mad, right? God says, the Bible says not to go to bed angry, right? So I just think that just in general, you shouldn't just go to bed mad with your spouse. I don't think you should let them walk out the house mad at your spouse. People do it, but to me, it don't matter what kind of damn job you got. It's not guaranteed that you're going to walk back in this door regardless of the career choice that you have made. Life be life, and I keep trying to tell y'all, life can fight. She got hands, and she don't play fair. That's just my answer. I don't know, sis. What you think?
I don't think it matters. If I got something to say, I got something to say.
See, and she just gonna lead with us, and that's it. She gonna lead with us. So I think that I don't think you catch less hell because of your profession. I think that if we're arguing and you a firefighter, the nigga, I'm about to be a fire you had to put out, because what is happening right now? Like, what are we doing?
I can't say nothing because that's what it sounds like. You want me to shut up because
there's a chance that you may not come home because you got a name job.
You're a trucker. You're this. You're that. So that's, I don't know.
Okay. All right, then. So I don't know. For me, it doesn't really matter what the profession is. I think we should learn to work to not be mad at each other before we go to bed or walking out the door. But if you so happen to catch this smoke, I don't give a shit what your profession is. Don't catch this smoke.
Wrong is wrong.
And there you go. Walking on eggshells. What are we walking on eggshells for? What are we walking on eggshells for? So let's just either say what you need to say, apologize for it, move past it, or, whatever. That's just my
What made you ask that question?
I don't know. Might have been a podcast I was watching.
Oh, okay. I was saying, what kind of question is it?
I got nothing. Randomly came to me. Randomly came to my text messages. All right. So signs and symptoms of depression. So these are the signs and symptoms of depression. Loss of interest in things you enjoy, such as work or hobbies. Low levels of motivation, energy, or fatigue, trouble sleeping or oversleeping, the inability to concentrate, feeling sad, hopeless, angry, irritable, anxious, or empty of any feelings, loss of appetite or overeating, and thoughts of suicide are the symptoms of depression. Now, they say that these symptoms show up differently between men and women. So they say that the following symptoms are for men who unfortunately have depression. So there are signs and symptoms of depression in men. So men will tend to feel angry, loss of interest in pleasurable activities like sex, fatigue, not able to remember details, overeating or not wanting to eat at all, thoughts of suicide or suicide attempts, aches, pains, headaches, cramps, inability to meet daily responsibilities. These are the signs and symptoms that men have when they are depressed. And as we've said on the show before, when it comes to suicidal attempts, men are more successful with suicide than women, only because they are more volatile with their attempts. So men will hang themselves, unfortunately, gunshot to the head, things that are more permanent, versus a woman who may try to drink herself to death and just ends up getting alcohol poison and has to get her stomach pumped, or maybe taking some over-the-counter drugs that, like, bitch, you just took 122 Tylenol. And I mean, you don't have a headache anymore, but you just had to get your stomach pumped. Like, you're not going anywhere. Like, you're not going to go meet Jesus the way you plan for it. And so women will do things like that. Now, they say that the signs and symptoms of depression in women are feeling guilty, loss of interest in favorite activities, fatigue, not able to remember details, so similar to the men, overeating or not wanting to eat at all, very similar, thoughts of suicide or suicidal attempts, aches, pains, headaches, and cramps. So as you can see, they are very similar. Instead of feeling angry or irritable, women have a tendency to feel guilty about something. That is their signs and symptoms of depression. Now, of course, this is not like just absolutely this happens with everybody, but this is just kind of like a blueprint of what it could look like. So if you know anyone that has ever suffered depression, or you currently are suffering from depression yourself, if you've noticed any of these signs and symptoms, please talk to your doctor. Please seek help. Please talk to someone. Now, depression is different from sadness or grief and bereavement. Mm-hmm. So the death of a loved one, the loss of a job, or the ending of a relationship are difficult experiences for a person to endure. It is normal for feelings of sadness or grief to develop in response to such situations. Those experiencing loss often might describe themselves as being depressed. But being sad is not the same as having depression. The grieving process is natural and unique to each individual and shares some of the same features of depression, but it is not depression. Both grief and depression may involve intense sadness and may cause you to withdraw from your usual activities. They are also very different in important ways. So in grief, there's painful feelings, but they come in waves. You're often intermixed with positive memories of the deceased. In major depression, there is a mood and or interest, so pleasure, are decreased for most of 2 weeks. So in order for you to be diagnosed with depression, you have to have it's like certain amount of criteria you have to meet, but it has to be an onset time. So you have to be experiencing these things for longer than just a few days. It has to be a minimum of at least 2 weeks that you are experiencing this intense sadness, the fatigue, the loss in pleasurable activities, the feeling guilty, all of those symptoms that I just gave you. So it has to be for at least 2 weeks in order for it to be considered depression. In grief, your self-esteem is usually maintained. In major depression, you are feeling worthless and self-loathing is common. So when you are grieving, your self-esteem is usually maintained. Like, it's not really too much of an effect on your self-esteem. But when you are depressed, it is completely the opposite. You are feeling worthless. You self-loathe in your worthlessness or your depression. You kind of just sit there. Those intrusive thoughts that we've talked about before, they kind of just take over, and they will continue to pour into your head and make you feel kind of worse off than what you already are. They will tell you that, you deserve to be here. No one loves you, all of those things. Those are the things that kind of set in, unfortunately, when you are going through depression. Did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. So in grief, thoughts of death may surface when thinking of or fantasizing about joining the deceased. Yeah, that shit's wild, right? I don't know. I guess I could understand that. Right?
Okay,
Not like personally, but I get why people would want to just be with
some
that
people
person. Yeah, they wouldn't want to be without that person. They would want to fantasize about joining the deceased loved one. But the difference is in major depression or major depressive disorder, thoughts are focused on ending one's life due to feeling worthless or underserving or of living or being able to cope with the pain of depression. So two different things. So sometimes when people are grieving, they may make statements like, God, just take me. Like, why did you take me? Or, I want to go too, or, whatever those things we say when our loved ones pass away. The difference with depression is instead of, so it's not more or less like thoughts of suicide when you're grieving. You don't think about suicide of like killing yourself. You just think like, if I just don't wake up tomorrow, I'm okay with that. Like, I want to be with this person. Like, if it's your lifelong person. In depression, you actually have those thoughts and you make those attempts when you are depressed. Two different things, because you feel like your life is worthless, that you are not serving your purpose, you are unable to cope with kind of the pain of depression or the symptoms of depression, so therefore you want to end your own life. Very different than when you are grieving, and you say stuff like, I want to go, I want to be with this person. Very different. Grief and depression can coexist. It is possible to be grieving and to be depressed. For some people, the death of a loved one, losing a job, or being a victim of physical assault or a major disaster can lead to depression. When grief and depression co-occur, the grief is more severe and lasts longer than grief without depression. So disguising between grief and depression is important. Knowing the difference. Are you grieving and what are you grieving? And I think sometimes when we talk about grief, I think we think it's always when somebody dies, that we think that's the only time that we can grieve. And the reality of it is you can grieve any event in your life. You can grieve the loss of a partner, a breakup, getting fired from a job. Say if you're at a job for like 20, 30 years and then they just lay you off, or, because they're downsizing or the company shuts down. You can grieve the loss of that. I don't want to say pleasurable activity because, child, who has fun at work? But you can grieve the loss, child. Nobody has fun at work. I don't care what you do for a living. Even as a therapist, I love my job, but you can grieve the loss of losing that job. If you lose the connections, like you've been there for 20, 30 years, so you've made friends, you've made connections. You lose that. You lose the sense of feeling worthy or like feeling like you have something to do, because now you're not getting up at 6:30 to get yourself ready to get stuff out and, make your breakfast and get to work and get on your morning commute. You're not doing that anymore. So a lot of times when we think about grief, we just think that grief is simply just losing somebody, but it is really the loss of anything, person around you. People grieve losing their pets. People that are like really like fur moms and dads with their cats and their dogs and their goldfish and their turtles. People that love their pets, they grieve the loss of that pet. So grief runs deeper than just someone dying, but grief does not last as long as depression does. So if you are not sure which one it is, like I said, I've given you the signs and symptoms of depression, and kind of the onset of it having to last for at least a minimum of 2 weeks. You may be grieving something or feeling an overwhelming sadness, but this does not necessarily mean that you are depressed. I would say, I think I told the young lady that was on the podcast last week, that I'm not a big person on medication. Not really my thing. But I realize that as a therapist, some people need medication. Some people need to be on an antidepressant medication, anti-anxiety medication. My only pushback is that if you're going to be on those type of medications, that you too are also seeking some form of therapy, some type of, we call it talk therapy in the field, but really just seeing some type of like cognitive behavior therapy, cognitive therapy. Make sure that you are seeing someone. So you are actually talking. Because when you're talking, then that person will, if they know you're on medication, ask you like, so what are your symptoms? They may even have you journal. Like I said last week, journaling is very important. So you can see your highs and your lows of like when you're really, really in a great mood or when you're not. Yes, Sonia, to answer your question, grief can lead to depression. This is the thing with grief. Grief comes in, well, they say 7 now, but there's 5 stages of grief. And grief is not linear. So there's no one way to grieve, right? They talk about when you're grieving, you start to bargain or acceptance or denial. They talk about those stages of grief. Huh?
Anger,
right? You go through those stages of grief. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. Now there are some unhealthy ways to grieve, but there's no right or wrong way to grieve. And so I think oftentimes we always want to get to the end of the grief and just accept it. Like, I accept it. It is what it is. You may lose someone or lose something and grieve and accept it right away. And then the last stage of grief for you could be bargaining, or your last stage could be anger. So grief, if you stay there too long, because again, grief is only supposed to be a time frame. Clinically, they say it's only supposed to be a time frame, right? You should be grieving. You should go through each stage. Like each stage is only supposed to last for a certain time frame. That's what they say. I say you can't tell somebody how to grieve. Grief is one of those things that can have a chokehold on you depending on what the loss of the thing is. So if you stay in that space too long and you are grieving whatever that thing is, it can turn into depression. That grief can stricken you from pleasurable activities. It may cause you to overeat, undereat. It may cause you to not get sleep or to oversleep. You may start to feel anxious and overwhelmed. Where now you're up at night and you're just staring at the ceiling. And again, like we said last week, creating scenarios in your head that just honestly do not exist. So if you stay in a stage of grief too long, it can at some point lead to depression, because depending on what you're grieving, you may not want to find pleasure in certain activities because that activity may remind you of that thing or that person that you lost. You may want to satisfy yourself by overeating or undereating, or just like you've lost your appetite. Physically, your body, hey Deandra, physically your body will start to go through it as well. You will start to feel fatigue. You will start to feel pain. You will start to have reoccurring headaches. So much so that like sunlight may start bothering you. Like a lot of people that are depressed, like they
don't like the sun.
They hate the sun, right? And that's exactly what the body needs, though. I hate that so much.
It can though.
I'm not addressing that. So this is the thing. I'm not saying
lose libido or whatever you call it.
Right. So for men, you guys lose the pleasure to have sex when you are depressed.
Yeah.
You no longer seek that pleasurable activity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are having sex, your mind's probably not there with you. But again, you're probably not, because it's not pleasurable for you. And so when people have depression, again, sunlight is your best friend. But a lot of people that suffer depression will go in their house. They don't like lights. They'll get the blackout drapes. I've been guilty of it. Blackout drapes where the room is completely dark. You don't know if it's nighttime, if it's daytime. You don't know what it is outside. And they will sit in that darkness. And it's like kryptonite when you turn the damn light on for them, or when they're exposed to any type of sun. But honestly, the sun gives us what our body needs. The sun is actually good for people that have depression. People that have depression should all
right, Slim, stop being dusty, bro. Cut it
out.
Shout
out to Slim Exclusive, aka the Ant Money Experience. Thursdays at 7 on the Big Exclusive. I can't deal with y'all tonight because y'all gonna make a joke out of everything. Everything. Like y'all don't take shit serious.
Oh my God, grow up.
But for all the guys that just think that y'all just about to be out here like the Energizer Bunny if y'all depressed. Trust me when I tell you, depression can get so bad that you do not even want to be. This is the thing. You have to want to be around people to have sex.
Wait, pause. Because I remember when my husband, he lost his mom. So I was with him the night she died up until like further up from that. So I just stayed around him. So I let him grieve. I let him do what he wanted to do. And then after that, he was just like, oh, we could go back to having sex. And it was like a day or two or something. And I'm like, no, that's weird. Like, your mom dead. Like, we gotta figure out what we gonna do. Like, my head, like, no, she dead. He
was depressed.
He was like, it was like weird. His grief was weird. It was like in waves. It was like anger. Then it was like a day of acceptance. Then it went back to anger. And I was just like, this is. He was like, well, you know, I still gotta get on because my mom would want me to get some cheeks, so we just gonna go with that. I'm like, should I be here right now? Because I'm feeling like
mama wanted him to get some cheeks for me.
I'm like, your mom did not tell you. Shut up. Like,
you don't know what conversation they had. Yeah, Danny.
They would have conversations like that, but I am not. No, not me. Your mom's dead. I don't think we should have.
Your mind was too focused on where his mind should have been.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like he should have been here. I don't feel right.
Big Exclusive said it. He didn't want none of that for a couple of months because you don't want to be around people. Yeah. It comes in waves. Yeah, a lot of people stay in the anger stage for a very long. Trust me when I tell you, as someone who has lost their mother, I told you October is a very rough month for me. Last Monday, I think I told you guys, last Monday made 10 years. Excuse me. I stayed in anger for a really long time.
Holidays do it too to people.
Oh, yeah. I hated the holidays. My first Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Oh, I'm sorry, Big Exclusive. Sending you a virtual hug.
Sorry.
Sending you a virtual hug.
It's the holidays. So
it's
that's why now I myself off and I kind of like make it a little bit more opposite for him so he could like, you know, he didn't lose just his mom, he lost his brother and he died within a certain time frame. So like it's kind of like, well, damn, like this is not like it gets to him sometime, but you could tell it gets to him.
We're grateful for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's very hard. Anger, you'll stay in anger for a really long time. I don't care what nobody say. Like I said, there are many stages of grief, but anger, I think anger and bargaining are like the two stages that like it's like playing tennis. You're going back and forth between anger and it's a lot of anger.
Christmas makes me mad because like I said, my cousin died on Christmas morning at 4 a.m. Christmas pisses me off. I didn't know why until like a couple years ago. And I was like, why does Christmas piss me? Like, I love Christmas. I really love Christmas. But it'd be like, I'll just wake up Christmas Eve. Like, I fucking hate these people. Oh, everybody going. Like, you just get so like, so in October,
yeah,
if y'all dealing with that, like that grief or whatever, like try to brace yourself a little bit, like recognize like, okay, I feel this way because I know why I feel this way because of this. Like October ain't your month. Like Shannon said, this is like hard for him. That's because we know what's coming after October, and we know that those people who are not
Big Exclusive, you know where I live at.
Yeah, so those people they probably made it like so like all about family and everything. Those people are no longer here. So it's like it sucked. So you be feeling that feeling, like know that you're gonna feel that feeling and kind of like not deal with it, but allow yourself to deal with it.
Absolutely, and allow yourself to have that moment. I know for me, I didn't want to do Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Talking about him.
I didn't want to do Christmas or Thanksgiving. Like that was my mom's thing. Like my mom and my aunt. So I lost my mom and my aunt, my mom's sister, 6 weeks apart. My aunt passed away first, and then literally 6 weeks to the day that my aunt passed away, my mother passed away. And so that was August? And yeah, August, top of September. End of August, top of September, she passed away. And then Thanksgiving was the next month after my mom passed away, and then Christmas was right after. So I hated all holidays. Like I still have a very strong dislike for holidays. I'd rather stay in the house. I'd rather not do anything or be around people. It's just not my thing. But I think it is important if you acknowledge it, right? If you identify what it is that's triggering you, identify why you feel this overwhelming sadness, identify why you start to feel depressed, find your triggers. This is why I tell you guys it's important to journal, right? Like track your progress. And every year should be different for you. Now, for the first couple years, every year is going to be the same. Those first anniversaries, that second year anniversaries, those are going to be very rough because it's like reality sets in. It's kind of like now you're getting to that stage of grief of the acceptance where now you have accepted that this person is no longer here. I think I told you guys this, not sure, but for a really long time, I didn't accept that my mom was gone. Like, I remember probably like the first 2 or 3 years, like we have this thing when we come in our house, we say, hey, hey, right? So everybody knows that everybody's home. Because if anybody says anything outside of hey, hey, welcome to Smith & Western. That's all I got. So that's our thing. It may come, Sonia. Like I said, it's no time frame. It's no time frame on those stages. Like you could be sad now, and then 6 months from now, you may go through your anger stage. That's why I said it's not linear. It's not like this is stage 1. I mean, they put it in order and say like these are what the stages you should be able to go through. But it's just not realistic because we're humans. We're gonna feel how we feel. Every day is going to be different. For me, I couldn't accept that my mom was gone. So in my mind, I would come home every day and be like, hey, hey, standing there in my living room. I remember it, standing there waiting for her to say, hey, hey, back. Because I was like, nah, she gonna say, hey, hey, because duh, why wouldn't she? And then I would rationalize in my mind and make it up like, nah, she just on vacation. She's on a really long vacation. Like she probably went back to the Bahamas. Like that was like her favorite place. So in my mind, my mom was just on a endless vacation. And then after a while, it was like, no, she's gone. Once you define the trick is how do you work?
I would be here all day working through that.
Right. So
there's an answer for that.
Everybody's different. I can't tell you how to get through your trigger. It depends on what your trigger is, right? So once you figure out what your trigger is, you then have to decide how you're going to respond to that trigger. Now, some people will try to brush past their trigger. Yesterday, like I told y'all, I was very emotional when I woke up. I cried. I do not cry. For the people that know me, it takes a lot for me to cry. Usually when I cry, I'm mad and I want to fight. So if you can get me to cry, yeah, baby, you've tagged me in too much. So for me, I knew what my trigger was. But it took me after crying, after praying, after just letting it out to then sit back and reflect and realize how I got here in this moment. And I think it was a song I was listening to. And the lyrics of the song is when the tears started. And so once you identify what your trigger is, you got to decide what are you going to do after you're triggered.
I remember my sister-in-law, we was having this conversation one day, and she was like, the songs, the movies, and like Christmas is really like something for her. I hope she don't mind me saying this shit, but she always say Christmas is like Christmas is our thing. We both equally love Christmas because their mom loved Christmas too. So it'd be like the Polar Express. That was her favorite movie. It'd be hot chocolate. It could be a cookie. And she'll just be like, she'd be like, it just sets me off. She was like, I woke up today and I was just set off. And I'm like, but what's wrong with it? Like, what's wrong with feeling that, like,
agree
hot chocolate. I'm gonna buy that hot chocolate because my mom loved hot chocolate. The Polar Express, I love the Polar Express. Like that's something that I think everybody should still feel. Like I don't think like people should get rid of traditions and holidays because those old heads said it so that you could keep going. They told you that they wasn't gonna be here for forever. So you have to keep those things going. If something remind you of that person, they probably purposely telling you like, buy the hot chocolate, buy the cookie, buy the shirt, buy this, buy that, you know, like always keep it going. And then they have a thing that's called like, I don't know if like other people have like sick parents or ever had sick parents. They have something called like anticipatory grief. You have the grief.
I went to that stage with our dad.
So like, like there's things like the anticipatory thing, like with him, you know, he's gonna die because he had cancer. But then it's the other side of it. Is it like a caregiver? My mom should have died at least 8 times. And that grief is like, that's another part of grief too, because it's like, you know, they're not going to be here for forever, but eventually they do go. And that's something me and my husband was talking about. He was like, I knew my mom was going. I anticipated it. I just didn't anticipate it then. But he always say, like, he was like, I just knew things that she was saying and like how she was acting. I just knew eventually one day, like, she not gonna come back home. So you like anticipation, like that's another part of grief that you get too. But if you like, the only thing you can rationalize it to answer royalty, the only thing I think you can rationalize people dying is everybody gotta go. So I was always raised that death is like, it's a reward. It's not a bad thing. It's like a reward. If you raise spiritually, it's really a reward. It's not like a bad thing. It's like I'm going on vacation. I'm going on permanent Bahamas vacation. It's free. I can do whatever I want when I'm there and then do that. So I think the only rational thing you can think of is death. But now that I'm realizing I'm older, I don't deal with grief well anymore. Like, people dying kind of like bothers me now. I think it's because
we're getting older and we realize that at some point we're gonna be on the other side of that.
We're gonna be on the other side.
And with anticipatory grief, so it's funny. So I took a grieving course in grad school. The thing with anticipatory grief is you begin to live your life as if that person is already no longer here. So when I say, when our father had cancer, they gave him 6 months to live, literally 6 months. Anticipatory grief will have you starting to live your life as if that person is no longer here, but they are here. Absolutely, Sonia. Death is promised for everyone. Anticipatory grief will have you go about your day-to-day as if that person is already dead, because now you're trying to get back to your norm, or what your new norm is, should I say. So you anticipate that the death is going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you know that there is a time frame that it is going to happen. And so you start to live your life. You start going through the stages of grief as if that person has died already, and they have not. I'm not going to say it's a healthy stage to go through, but it is something that a lot of people go through, especially when people have terminal illnesses, when people have, unfortunately, cancers or lupus or dementia, or, you know, some things that are just, you're terminally ill. You may begin to go through anticipatory grief with that person if you have a close connection, and you will begin to start anticipating a death. And it's kind of like one of those things where every day you prepare yourself for that phone call. So every time the phone rings, you just like, all right, let me just, and it may not even be that, but you prepare yourself as if it is. To add to what my sister said about royalty, my thing is, when you are triggered by something, sit in your trigger. I think a lot of times we are uncomfortable with how that trigger has made us feel. And so we try to bypass it. And so we won't cry. We won't scream. We won't yell. We won't punch the wall. Like, do all that shit. I'm here for all of it. Because all you do when you hold on to those emotions, I don't think any of us do. I think at a certain age, I think immortality becomes just a fairy tale to us. And we realize, like, we all have a number that is going to be called eventually. Especially when your parents start to die, you just realize, like, okay, these are the people that you think are going to live forever. And so I would say, whatever your trigger is, realize what your trigger is. Realize, was there anything or any red flags or anything that led up to this before you got triggered? Because all triggers have a warning sign. All of them. Every last trigger we have, there is a warning before it happens. You just have to know the warning signs. Now, some of us are so emotionally embedded into our triggers that we do not realize when this is happening. Like, we're not listening to those voices in our head that's like, nope, abort mission, control, alt, delete. And so to me, there are signs before you are triggered by something. And then once you're triggered, how are you going to respond to that trigger? Are you going to be sad? Are you going to be happy? Are you going to be frustrated? Are you going to be angry? Are you going to hit something? Are you going to hit somebody? Please don't hit nobody. It's assault. You will go to jail. But But knowing your triggers and knowing what they are and being able to identify them before you are triggered by it, sitting in it, feeling those emotions that you feel.
I'm laughing because I be set off.
The environment, what I mean is, how do you adjust to, for a lack of better words, turn off your emotions for that moment? I don't believe in turning off your emotions.
What I learned is, listen.
When do you deal with it? If you turn off your emotions in that moment because of your environment, when do
that's not. See, if
you continue to turn it off, when do you deal with that trigger? That's why it's a trigger, because you ain't dealing with it.
Stop doing that.
So when do you deal with it? If you are constantly triggered by the same thing, that means you're not dealing with it. And if you're not dealing with it, then that means you're just sweeping it under the rug. And if you're just sweeping it under the rug, eventually you're gonna trip.
First of all, why you put yourself in that situation to be triggered?
Again, there are warning signs that happen before the trigger occurs. So if you are if you're at work and you get triggered by something, there is something that led up to that moment before you were triggered. I get it. Crying at work is probably not, that's not a safe environment. Nobody wants to cry at work. Nobody wants to seem vulnerable at work. To take a bathroom break, take a walk. Mm-hmm. But I think that not letting out what you feel only continues to bottle it up. Again, it's a trigger because you're not dealing with it. At some point, our triggers are just supposed to be reminders that we've overcome or we are on a healing journey of something. Like, I used to get triggered by that, but now I respond like this. That is what a trigger eventually is supposed to do. Like, you, over the years, you shouldn't get as triggered by, or you shouldn't, something that is triggering should not have the same impact on you. Like, for me, I'm a fighter. I like fighting, right? I don't like nobody with a slick mouth. Before you say something slick to me, nah, because what you say, you had, nah, keep that same energy. Like, that was me. Now I'm more or less to walk away and just laugh. It's probably a little crazy, like the Joker laugh, but I'm more keen to just walk away now, because I know that was a trigger for me before. Like, I don't like the slick talk. Like, say what you gotta say to my face. Don't do all that. When I turn around, walk off. Don't do all of that. Like, respectfully. So identify what your trigger is, and then identify what the warning signs are before you get triggered by that thing. So if you're in an environment where it is not safe for you to express yourself, then you need to take some time to go and express yourself. Right. Because tucking that trigger or tucking those emotions that you feel because of that trigger, when do you actually deal with it head on?
Or I was about to say, I'm the shit. I was trying to figure out how to answer you. Shit, I'm the person that'll trigger the shit out of anybody.
We know.
I don't give a shit.
Because you lead with dust. I
don't give a shit.
You told us already what you do.
Think by now, I don't give a shit.
We know.
I'm trying to think of it. I had something to, like, okay, I'm trying to think of how to say it to him. Because I'm learning how to deal with my triggers. I'm learning how to, I'm a very, very blunt person. Like, blunt said automatically. I don't fucking care how you feel. Because for what? We need to hear the truth anyway. That's my trigger. Like, when people say things, I'm out to hurt your feelings. I don't care. I want to hurt your feelings. Because you said something that pissed me off.
Trigger, or is that a toxic trait?
It's a trigger.
Sounds toxic.
I think it's both.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's both.
Very toxic, though.
Listen, being blunt is a trigger to dusty ass people because they don't never want to hear about themselves. So that's a trigger for them, because you'll never.
Mama say it's not so much of what you say.
What you say is
how you say it. So sometimes being too blunt, it's not a matter of what you say; it's how you say it. We gotta lead with love sometimes, okay? Lead with love and grace.
I don't give a shit.
It's okay, y'all. I'm still working on her. We still working together.
Shit, you think I'm like this? My daughter's 11, almost 12, and I be having to tell her to, like, relax. She be like, I don't care. Wow.
I wonder where she gets that from. It's crazy.
Not me. Must be the family trait. Not y'all side. I mean,
definitely not my side.
The mama side. My mama side. They some blunt ass people. They just lead with dust. They don't say nothing else. My mom just leads with dust. She don't care. She just lead with dust, and you can meet her outside with the dust.
Ends with a Y. Accountability. You see that? Look, I just be trying to get you there.
Listen, I'm accountable. I know I'm dusty. Shit,
Yeah,
I know.
you trying to blame your mom's side of the family for why my niece be wilding out with her slick ass
It
mouth.
is her fault.
It's your fault. It's your
Because
fault.
half of my family do like to fight. Like yeah, whatever. Anyway, we're not talking about them. I don't want to put them out there. But I'm just saying.
You're her mother.
I'm a nice person. I'm just blunt with what I say. I just mean what I say. So I would say royalty. I would say royalty. We're getting off on a tangent. I got ADD. I would say royalty. You gotta recognize why you feel the way you feel, and then be mature enough to be like, okay, I'm not gonna go back there. This person said X, Y, and Z to me, and it ticked me off, and I was, like, there are certain situations people say to me, and I would say your grandmom's a hoe or something ignorant, and I've stopped it. So I refrain from cussing you out now. Before,
what does got to do with this? Why they grandmama hoe?
Oh, you say, I don't know. I don't take the high road. I go to hell. Sometimes, not all the time. But if you piss me off, I'm going to hell. Don't you go to hell, royalty. It's not fun. It's hot. You know what I mean. But I'm just saying, you have to recognize why you're pissed, why you're going through it. I'm not letting shit.
And that's good, Deandra. Sometimes you do got to say fuck it and let it go. Because honestly, holding on to things is not healthy.
You mean let it go like drop the subject? Or you mean let it go like get it out?
I understood what she said. I don't understand why you're not understanding what she said.
Because the way I'm thinking is I'm not letting shit go. I'm letting you off. What do you mean?
And let it go.
Let it off.
Because why are you letting somebody disturb your peace like that? Why are you letting somebody knock you off your square?
I gotta get off my chest.
Why are you letting somebody knock you off your square?
Not after I get off my chest is good. Like I'm in
but
heaven.
You are, because if they say something and you feel the need to get your lick back, they have now taken you out of character. Right. Y'all cancers. So, seasonal affective disorder. SAD is how you say it. SAD. Seasonal affective disorder is a form of depression. Okay. It is also known as seasonal depression or winter depression. There you go. Because who want to catch a case at this big age? Nobody. In the DSM-5, which is the Bible for us mental health clinicians, okay, it's our Bible. This disorder is identified as a type of depression, along with major depressive disorder. But they consider it's called major depressive disorder with seasonal pattern. So that's how it is written in the DSM-5. So it's not just seasonal affective disorder. It is major depressive disorder with a seasonal pattern. We're teaching y'all so much. So people with SAD or seasonal affective disorder experience mood changes and symptoms similar to depression. The symptoms usually occur during the fall and winter months when there is less sunlight. I'm telling y'all gotta get that vitamin D up in y'all. And usually improves when the arrival of spring. So people that suffer from seasonal affective disorder, it usually begins in the winter and fall months because we begin to lose sunlight. It gets cold. People retreat. People go in the house. A study recently showed that seasonal affective disorder is now affecting people in the summer months where the temperatures are too hot and it's very uncomfortable. So instead of people being outside and enjoying the sun and getting that vitamin D, they would rather stay in the house. And again, being in the house where it's dark. Hey, Creamy, thank you so much.
Hey.
Where it's dark does not always have a good effect on us. So the most difficult months for people with SAD in the United States tends to be January and February, because those tend to be some of our coldest months. While it is much less common, some people experience SAD in the summer. So like I said, there is a recent study that shows that some people are now beginning to, I forgot what they call it. They don't call it SAD. It's like, I can't think of it. I saw it on the news and I thought it was absolute bullshit. But apparently the psychologist on there said it was a real thing. And I was like, whatever. Just an excuse for people to be out here acting crazy. It's the summer. Like, get out, get some damn sunlight, go to the beach. I mean, I'm not a beach person because I hate sand, but get out the house, go put your feet. I don't like sand. It gets everywhere. It gets everywhere it's not supposed to get. I hate the beach. I love the beach. I think it's beautiful. I think it is the most amazing thing that God has ever created, along with children. But I don't like to put me in a cabana. Okay, give me a balcony.
Some of these kids is dusty, Joe.
Wow, not mine. So we're not gonna talk about people's kids. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
Some little girl, listen, I hate saying, so you see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's too much. It's too much. So sad is more than just winter blues though. So the symptoms can be distressing and overwhelming and can interfere with daily functioning. So however, it can be treated if you have seasonal affective disorder. About 5% of adults in the US experience SAD, and it typically lasts about 40% of the year. It is more common among women than men. Are we surprised there? SAD has been linked to a biochemical imbalance in the brain prompted by shorter daylight hours and less sunlight in the winter. As seasons change, people experience a shift in their biological internal clock or their circadian rhythm that can cause them to be out of step with their daily schedule. So SAD, seasonal affective disorder, is more common in people living far from the equator where there are fewer daylight hours in the winter. Symptoms of SAD and kind of what they include. So common symptoms of SAD include fatigue, even when with too much sleep, and weight gain associated with overeating and carbohydrate craving. So you will crave carbs. SAD symptoms can vary from mild to severe and can include many symptoms similar to major depression. So SAD or seasonal affective disorder or depression can look very similar to just major depression. SAD may begin at any age, so any age can experience this, but it typically starts when a person is between the age of 18 and 30. So that is SAD. So I'm going to go through a few myths of depression. Depression isn't a real illness. That is a myth. Antidepressants always cure depression. That is a myth. While depression is treatable, you must do both. Depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain. So you have to do both. You have to seek therapy, see someone, and take your medicine. You can simply snap out of it. That is a myth. Stop telling people that. Just get over it. Get past it. Snap out of it. Don't tell nobody with depression that. They're going to snap out of it to the other side.
Or you.
Or to the upper room. Like, don't tell nobody that. Okay? Don't tell nobody that. It happens because of a sad situation. That is a myth. Don't tell nobody they got depression because of a sad situation. Yes, can a sad situation or grief cause someone to be depressed eventually? Yes. But that is not the only means of depression. If your parents have depression, so will you. That is a myth. While there are many studies that show about the history of depression in family, and some people believe it is genetic, some people believe it's environmental, it can be both. You can have a family that suffers with a lot of mental illnesses, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, and it may never touch you. So that is a myth. Antidepressants will change your personality. That is a myth. Antidepressants change your brain chemistry because, again, depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain. This might seem scary and you may worry that you will feel entirely different. People that take antidepressant medications will report feeling different in their body. But the longer that you take them, and this is not me advocating for antidepressants because y'all know how I feel about them, but the longer that you take them, hi, welcome, that's a new name. The longer that you take your antidepressants, you will begin to feel different and hopefully better. Again, it helps to recognize how you feel and how your antidepressants is changing you. So journaling, make sure you're documenting. Depression only affects women. This is a myth. Depression affects men and women of all races, all walks of life. Talking about it only makes it worse. It's a myth. I just told you guys, if you're going to take antidepressants, go see a therapist as well. It can cause dependency. And so that is why it is good for you to go, one, make sure that if you're on an antidepressant medication, you are journaling and you are seeing a therapist, but that you are meeting with your doctor regularly, because the goal is to eventually come off of the medication. But that's why you got to have something else to go hand in hand with the medication. That's why I said therapy, meditating, yoga, whatever it is that you need to do, emotional regulation. These are things that you will learn in therapy. The stress tolerance. It can be a chemical dependency, but the goal is to not be chemically dependent on the antidepressant medication. Antidepressant medications also make you have a increase in suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideations. So be careful if you're on an antidepressant medication. Make sure you are talking to your doctor. Make sure you are journaling. And the reason why I keep pushing journaling to you guys is because, right? We be having a million things going on in here. And we be like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to the doctor about this. And then you get in the damn doctor and you'll mention 67% of the stuff that you said you wanted to talk to the doctor about. Journal. Take your journal with you. We have these smart devices, these phones, we got notepads. Write it down. So when you get in that doctor's office, you can tell your doctor, hey, so I've been on this medicine for 30 days and this is how it's making me feel. I like it. I don't like it. Can we change the dose? Can we try something else? No, you're not going to know all the clinical terms of how the medicine makes you feel, but at least you will have a foundation of where to start. Again, I'm not an advocate of medication. Do I think people need it? Absolutely. I do think that some people need to be on medication for depression, for anxiety, for mood disorders, for personality disorders. Yes, I think that medication helps those that it needs to help. But if you are on medication, I think it is very important for you to also seek the aid of a therapist, master level clinician, licensed therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist. The list goes on, and the elevations and bop. But it is important that you see a therapist if you are taking any type of antidepressant medication, because it will make you feel suicidal and have suicidal ideations. What were you going to say, sis?
Oh, nothing. I was agreeing.
Oh.
Deandra asked, did you see what she said?
I thought
the medication,
right?
Medication, yeah. Does it cause codependency? It does.
It does. But that is the point of seeing a therapist and talking to your doctor regularly, because you don't want to be dependent on that medication. Again, depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain, and the goal is to figure out what that chemical imbalance is. What is it in your brain? What is your brain telling you? I told you guys before, cognitive behavior therapy, how I explain it to my clients is when they say, what's cognitive behavior therapy? You think, therefore you do. So whatever happens up here, this begins to respond to what's happening up here. So if we can work and change our mindset, that will eventually be a domino effect of how we respond and react and behave to certain situations.
Make sure you're getting nutrients too, like fruit, vegetables, water, all of that. Just take a walk. You don't gotta exercise. Just take a walk, something, so you won't be dependent on Seroquel and all those. Don't just get dependent on
all
those.
SSRIs and benzodiazepines.
They have bad side effects. They give you thing. They'll give you ED, like you said. They give you ED.
And that's another thing, right? Depression, alcohol abuse, drug abuse can cause depression, because alcohol, whether y'all believe it or not, y'all know I love me a glass of wine. Y'all know that. A shot of tequila in it. You cannot abuse it, because alcohol is a depressant, right? You feel like Superman when you out here until you crash. Okay? You crash very quickly with alcohol because, again, it is a depressant. It begins to change the chemical balance in your brain when you are under the influence. That is why when people get pulled over for DUIs, they make them do all them dumbass drugs, the little DUI test. Your brain, cognitively, it is delayed. It is delayed because the alcohol is acting as a depressant. So take care of yourself. Like my sister said, make sure you are eating healthy. Make sure you're eating correct. Now, I'm not telling nobody how to eat. I can only tell you what works for me. I decided to go pescatarian. What is it, like about 3-4 months now? I still have my cheat days where I will eat stuff that's just not on the menu. But one, I want to say, child, I am losing these love handles. Ass still fat though, period. Okay, so anyway, listen real quick. But seriously, like, change your eating habits. Make sure you are drinking your water. I'm not telling nobody not to drink. It's not what I'm telling you. Do not abuse it. That is like she said, you don't have to exercise. You ain't gotta go to the gym, but just stand up, get your heart pumping, get moving. Even if you walk from your bedroom down the steps, out the front door, back up steps, whatever it is that you
like office areas like we do. What I do is I do not sit there. Everybody else is just like chomping down on greasy food and chips. I'm not doing that. I do not want to balloon back up again. I don't. Okay.
We're trying to unbig our back, y'all. Okay, the winter time is getting here.
They'll depress you.
Comfort food.
They'll depress you.
Shout out to Big Exclusive though on that infused sweet potato pie. Like, you know, I don't dibble and dabble in there, but I might gotta come see you. Okay, we gotta talk.
I'm like, infused sweet. At first I was hyped, but then it said infused, and I was like,
yeah, I don't know how I'm going.
I don't do it. If I can't smoke it, I ain't taking it in. I'm sorry. But I mean, hey, y'all go on and get y'all the infused sweet potato pie.
I might still need to go and get me a pie though. I'm gonna just have to eat it slow.
That's what I'm saying.
Eat it slow.
Eat it in little pieces, y'all. Don't y'all eat that whole damn pie.
Don't eat the whole damn pie.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right. Don't spiral and set yourself into a depression. Don't do that.
Right. I think weed is for depression. It works for anxiety. I'm trying to tell y'all.
I'm crying.
Anxiety. If you anxious, go on and.
I'm not agreeing with that.
A little something. It do. It works. It works. You stressed out, anxiety. It works. I'm all for the holistic. I'm gonna test to that. It does work. It sure do get right.
I'm all for the holistic methods, but what I'm saying is, do not abuse drugs and alcohol. That also does not help with your depression. So
that's not abuse,
right? Get y'all sunlight. Listen, it's about to get cold out here. It's supposed to be very beautiful this weekend. I think it's supposed to go to like 80. Make sure you guys are getting out. Make sure you are feeling that breeze on your face, that sun on your face. I know it's going to be a cold winter. I can feel it because it got cold very early. Really quickly. But I would say to you guys, in your bedroom, in your house, allow the natural sunlight to come in. Open those blinds. Pull those blackout drapes back. Open your house. Blinds. Go to your door. Yes, go to your door. Sage, whatever it is you do, right?
You got demons in your house. That's why you closing the damn curtains. Let them demons out there. Y'all. Go on, for real. Some people really do be having demons inside of them. They just don't recognize it. Open that damn window and open that door and let them demons out and burn the sage. Oh, burn sage, vetiver root. What is it? The other one. Lemongrass. Lavender is a calming thing. If you're like feeling anxious, burn lavender, incense, you know, go to the holistic store.
Andrew, what you put in your body will also affect on your food.
That's why I said fruits, vegetables.
That's why I said those comfort foods that we love so much are not really
good for us.
They comfortable. They good as shit, right? We love them. But when they break down chemically into your body, they make you feel like shit. You ever ate something and it was good in that moment, and then you like, oh, I shouldn't have ate that. I feel sluggish. I feel this. I feel that. So be careful what it is that you are putting in your body. Child, my son dad is having a hard time getting cat food. I just said, can you just grab me a bag of cat food? Like, why you keep sending me 6 pictures? You don't know what cat food look like? It's crazy. Man, it's a lot.
Leave Big Joe alone, okay? No Big Joe.
I knew you was coming. I knew you was going
to I don't play about Big Joe.
All right, not too much. But seriously, it's becoming the wintertime, guys. It's going to get cold. You guys are going to want to retreat and be in the house. Go outside, even if it's just for 5-10 minutes. The holidays are coming. We are missing people. Okay, we are reflecting on the loved ones that we have lost over the years. Hey, Top Flight. Get outside, get some fresh air.
Really?
Turkey.
I know why. So what's the reason with the turkey? If you don't mind me asking.
I like it is dry. Make sure you guys get outside. Make sure
you put gravy on that shit.
Wow.
That's that we only eat that here. Only eat that once a year. Don't eat that all the time.
Get outside, get some sunlight, let the breeze hit your face. Take a walk in the park, take a walk around the block. You have to get out. Seasonal affective disorder or seasonal affective depression is a real thing, and a lot of people suffer from it. And a lot of people have already started falling into that trap of seasonal affective disorder. So I implore you to make sure you are taking good care of yourself. If you are on an antidepressant medication, please find you a therapist that suits you, that suits your needs, that has the, meets the criterias of you. Don't just sit down in front of everybody, baby, because people be preaching stuff and they don't be living the same lifestyle. So I won't tell you to do that. So don't just find you a therapist that you like, that you trust, that gives off good energy. Because again, the goal of a therapist is at some point we want to let you off out into the world. We don't want to keep y'all as clients forever. We just want to have y'all here for a little bit, teach y'all the skills that y'all already knew y'all had up in y'all. Yeah, I can see that, Sonia. I can see that. Right. And so again, what you put in your body definitely has an effect. Don't abuse alcohol. Don't abuse drugs. Just because you having a crappy day or you're grieving the loss of somebody does not mean you need to take a whole bottle of wine or a bottle of brown or whatever your alcohol of choice. Drinking numbs the pain temporarily. But you do not want that to be a reoccurring habit, that so much so that it causes you to spiral into a depression. Grief comes in many stages, 5, 7, they say now to be exact, but you're not going to go through all the stages in order. The goal is to go through the stages, not stay in the stages. So, do you have anything else for these good people? Because I need to see if the Phillies won so I can go down and cut up with the White.
They lost.
Oh, goddamn.
I'm pretty sure they lost.
Wait a minute. Does anybody got the score on the game?
Yeah, he said they lost. He just told me they lost.
Who lost? Who got the score? Hold on.
Yeah, he just was telling me they lost.
Damn, they never came back. They really just had that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, the Eagles won. So.
I'm leaving.
Who else team is 6-1? Anyway, you want to tell the good people something else before we get out of here?
The Eagles are trash. They won against the Dolphins. The Dolphins is
y'all love trying to tell people that all the teams we keep playing is trash. But y'all teams ain't doing so well either. So sit down. But thank you for joining Melanated Vibrations each and every Monday at 7 p.m. The shows don't stop here. We have a whole line of shows left for you for the rest of the week. Tomorrow is Tuesday, where you are going to come back to the Big Exclusive Network, and you are going to watch the Big Exclusive podcast with Big Exclusive, Angry OG, and Top Flight, and whoever their special guest is. Thank you, Royalty. That's at 7. Make sure you tune in because the show's gonna go off the rails. You just never know which way it's gonna go, but it always goes left. Wednesdays, you're gonna come back again and you're going to watch Women's Wellness Wednesdays with Reek and T at 6 p.m. Then you're gonna jump into Thursday and you're gonna watch the Ant Money Experience with my bro Ant Rockmore, aka Ant Money, aka Slim Exclusive, as they call him. And you're going to join that, and that's at 7:00, where he has been having amazing guests. He gives them a highlight, allows them to, highlight their craft and their brand. And I think that's absolutely amazing when we are able to put, thank you, Sonia. They're able to put, people that look like us on a platform, child. And, the Big Exclusive Network really needs to be called the Black Exclusive Network because we out here. And so we have great shows lined up for you for the rest of the week, guys. It does not stop here. Make sure you tune in tomorrow to the Big Exclusive Podcast, Women's Wellness Wednesdays on Wednesdays, and the Ant Money Experience on Thursdays. And then make sure you come back here next Monday. We're gonna shake the table next Monday. The day before Halloween, trick or treat. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks, Deandra.